Alright everybody, today we are looking at how to put screens with video in your Unity project. As you see here, I have a video that I've already put in here. And one important thing to note is the file type. So I can show it in Explorer, and you see the file type here. That's a thing I ran into when originally importing videos, so if you have any trouble, we're going to go over that as well using Blender. I'm going to pop over here and do a new Blender file. And we're going to start a new project, video editing. And this is just going to make sure that we have our file in the proper format. So in this particular case, I'm just going to go back and grab this same file just so we can show an example, because I've already gone through this process, and drop it in here. And the important thing to note here is the formatting. So we go up here in the rendering tab and change PNG to FFmpeg video. Change our encoding container, MPEG-4. That should be fine. And we'll export our audio as MP3. There is another advantage to the way Blender deals with things, in that it separates your audio. So we're going to do a quick test and just go 30 frames and render that. Nice and quick. And then we're going to go snatch our just rendered file and drop it into our Unity Assets folder. And here's our original file here, and we go up here, and here's our new file. Plays fine. So there we go, that covers formatting, because I know that can be a bit of a pain in the butt if it's just like drag your video in here and there you go, and my video's not the right format. There we go, we got our formats covered. Now, we're doing it all from scratch, so let's build a quick screen. Yeah, quick note also. So you can actually go up here to render audio and export out your audio as well, and that can come in handy later if you're wanting to essentially have a drop-off of your audio effect. If you just want to play video and have it at a set volume, then you don't have to worry about that. But if you're doing it from, like a TV or a screen, and you want sound to come out and fade away, you're going to want your audio as a separate file. Alright, we're going to pop into another new Blender file and delete everything except for our default cube. Ironic, I know. Going to scale it a bit on the x-axis, give it a nice aspect ratio, and then scale it a bit on the y-axis to flatten it out like a screen a little bit. We're going to zoom in with our mouse wheel and hit tab to go into edit, hit 3 to interface select, and then we're going to hit I and scale it down a little bit, and then hit E and move it back a little bit. Then you're going to go into your materials tab. We already have a set material for our default cube, so we'll just select a new one, hit plus and then new, and we're just going to make it black like a screen, and then with that face selected, hit assign. Now we can tab out, and if we hit Z and go over to material preview, we see that we have a differentiation of our materials. This is a very good thing to do ahead of time, because if you try and work this later on, it can be a pain in the butt, so it's nice to have. Now we're going to go up with our object selected, select File, Export, FBX. We're going to place it directly into our Project Assets folder, which is probably on the Recent tab down here, but I'm going to go find it. There we go. Name it whatever you like. I'm going to go Screen TV 2 because I've already got some screens in my project. It's very important, make sure you get the .fbx file format in there, and make sure you have selected objects. And we go ahead and hit export, and it should put it directly into our project. Alright, and here's our 3D model we just created. We just drag it right into the scene and it's there. I'm going to see if I can get it into a nice position, sort of flush up against this building. Stick with the theme I've been doing. If anybody's wondering, they're super new. It's W to move, R to scale, and E to rotate. And I'm kind of jumping back and forth between those different methods to manipulate the object and put it where I want. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now, because we already separated out our materials, we can just go ahead and throw in a nice material for our actual casing. There we go. Make it fit in with the scene a little bit better. And we could assign a material directly to this, but instead what we're going to do is make an individual object for the actual screen. So I'm going to make sure the object's selected. Come up in the hierarchy, right-click, select 3D object, and then select cube. Then we got to figure out where our cube is. Okay, it's just gigantic. So I hit F to focus in on the selected object, and then I'm just going to scale it down and continue to do that until it relatively matches the size of my screen. There we go. We're going to flatten it out a little bit so that we can still get that little bit of depth between the casing and the screen. Not that it matters on this sort of scale. I mean, it's on the side of a building, so you're never going to get super close to it, but it's good to do in practice for if you're going to use these same models for smaller screens in the future. Alright, so we have our 3D object and we have our video file. We just need to go to Component, type in Video, and add in Video Player. And then right here in our video clip, we're just going to drag and drop our video file that we rendered in Blender. A couple weird things here, so it really depends on what you want to do with it. I don't want any audio for this particular thing because I already have a lot of audio going on in my scene. But there are instances where you may want to have audio, where it's the same volume all the time, and there are instances where you may want to have audio essentially be spatially aware. So I'm going to mute it, and then we're going to go in and add in an audio source. And what you would do is, whenever earlier we looked at rendering your audio file, you would essentially go in and select that file. And if you had any formatting issues or anything like that, just run it through Audacity and re-export as a WAV or MP3 and you'll be fine. We're going to select Play on Awake, and the important thing is this spatial blend. We're going to drag it all the way up, and then you have these things right here where you can tweak the fall off. And that can give you that nice 3D effect. We're not going to do that with this particular one, but I just want to go over how to do it. So there's that. Another thing we're going to do is add an area light to our screen. This is just going to give it that nice effect of like light is actually coming from the screen and bleeding onto the casing a little bit. I'm just going to pull the area light away a bit, and the nice thing about it is we can shape it directly to our screen. So over here with shape, you can affect its actual parameters. You're probably going to need to rotate it as well. There we go, that's going to help. Now we've got a little bit of light casting on our screen, and you can adjust all the different settings so we can bring up the intensity. You're not really going to have to worry about the range considering its proximity to the actual screen. It's really just an effect for the screen itself and maybe a bit on the building there. and we can change the color just a little bit. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. And we take a look at it, and nothing's happening.
Parking in or around Century Plaza.
This is because of two things. So, one, it's how our video player is mapped to our cube, and it's a really easy fix. Just pop over here, and in this tab, select Base Color Map. And then also, it's the amount of light that's cast. It would just make it difficult if there's not enough light on the object, so we're going to bring up the intensity of our emission on our area light. And thankfully, that's mostly local light, so it's not going to cause problems everywhere else. Let's give it a shot now.
Welcome to Century Plaza, building a better today for a better tomorrow.
There we go. Beautiful. So that worked out well. Obviously, you can take this object, replicate it, scale it, move it wherever you like, and then very easily apply different video files to it. So I've got screens all over the place with all sorts of different things going on, just because it's so easy to keep doing that, and a lot of fun. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, if it was, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm a tiny YouTube channel. I want to help as many people as I can, and I also have projects that I could totally use some exposure. So, everybody be safe. Happy New Year. Hopefully I'll be back with more sooner this time instead of in 3 months. Bye.